Hi everyone, it's Kaz on my YouTube channel. Welcome back to another video on my channel. In today's video, I'll be previewing our massive round 17 clash against the Bombers. If you are a 10K of Magpies, welcome, like, comment, share. If you're new to the channel, watching this for the first time, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Now, as we know of today, I don't know what the teams will be, so I'll do that when the teams come out and talk about that as well. Now, I believe it's the week of Indigenous, so I'm pretty sure what I've read is that all teams will wear their Indigenous jumpers as well, so if that's going to be the case, then it would probably solve the clash jumper issues with Essendon. Knowing the fact is that when we play Essendon at our home game, they don't wear it. When we play an away game against them, then we have to wear a clash kit as well, because it's a black and white stripes compared to all black and red stripes, and which it's very hard to see because the shorts don't always solve that clash. So the only way that you see Essendon wearing a clash is against Richmond, against Port Adelaide, and St Kilda, Adelaide, Fremantle as well. They don't wear one against Geelong, but they do wear one against Melbourne. And they also pretty much wear it against a highly fancy team from a team like Richmond, but they also wear one when they play St Kilda in the away game, and when they play, obviously, Dreamtime at the G. So, because they don't use their clash kit that often, that's what's going to solve, a definitely clash there. Look, I've got more confidence in us to win this game. Now, we know that Essendon don't tend to play well against top 8 teams. The ladder does not lie in any way, but it can lie to a certain extent, because Essendon are only 4th, we're only 6th. It's 6th versus 4th on the ladder. But having said that too, one thing that Essendon did get wins against, they were teams outside the top 8. It's not against teams inside the top 8 where with us. We actually beat 3 teams in that top 8. We beat Port Adelaide, Brisbane and Carlton. We lost to Sydney, and we drew against the Bombers and Fremantle as well. We haven't played the Cats yet, but we will play them next week. But one thing that we do know is that this is going to be a huge clash for both teams, knowing the fact is where these two teams are on the ladder. Now, we generally play each other, I think it's twice a year, sometimes maybe once a year as well. So we don't often get this type of clashes where you play both sides. But obviously for us, last time that we did play them, when it was our home game, was Anzac Day in 2023. And that's when we won by 13 points as well. But having said that, we did play them, and outside the Anzac Day game, when it was our home game, was round 19, 2022, when we won by 4 points with the Jamie Elliott goal after the siren. Now, we know under Brad Scott, they want to take the game on. We know they want to play on quickly. We know that Draper's the main ruckman, and if Goldstein plays, that's going to be a danger sign for us in the way that you expect them to be. But having said that, I'm confident in our ability. I'm confident that we'll get the job done. We have won 4 of the last 5 games. We are in great form, and if you really want to look back on the last previous games on Anzac Day, we drew against them as well. And the lead to that extent were obviously 27 points for the Bombers. Were able to come back, and we're only 7 points in front. in that last quarter, but that was about it. So we haven't really probably would have definitely learned from that, but it's the way that we need to play as well. Obviously, there won't be a jumper clash because if it's Indigenous round, we know that Essendon will wear their Indigenous jumpers as well. And they tend to wear these 3 times a year. I don't know why you would. But having said that too, they might wear the clash as well because it was an away win as well. So they might wear it. Who knows? You hope they do. And that would solve definitely any more clashes with that. But having said that too, it's going to be a cracker game as well. Now, one thing that we do know, when Draper rocks by himself, they tend to win more games than they lose. Same thing when Goldstein rocks by himself, they win more games than they lose as well. But when they're both in the sides, the win-loss record isn't as great. We know exactly what we need to do as well when it comes to them. We know they like to run and carry. How we saw them against probably a team against Geelong where they weren't really that crash hot themselves, Geelong. They were still in the 8, but they still lost. And when you look at the 30-point win that they had, it took them to the last quarter, but they were able to play their brand of football. They were able to play that manic running game from halfback as well. So they want to do that. They want to take on through the corridor, and they want to keep going in the way that they want to play. Now, one thing I would try and do with Essendon is I would target the 2 rocks for Essendon in Draper and Goldstein. Now, if Goldstein does play, like I said, I would probably play Billy Frampton as a second rock, and I keep Kruger up forward, and that way you can have your structure there. Mychek, Kruger. We know that Ned Long is going to play, so that's one option that we've got. He probably might come in for Noble or McCreary. Lockie Schutz will definitely come in, you think. He's fit and ready to be available. Braden Maynard will play. Josh Dacos is 50-50 to play for this week. So it is going to be a very interesting game, but I do feel like we've got that depth there. But I would play Billy Frampton in the ruck. I have him in defence, but then have him in the ruck as that second ruck option just to tire out Goldstein and Draper as well, because we know that Draper can play up forward and that can allow for that at times, but we know exactly what they're capable of as well. So if the two big tall rock can play, it definitely suits us a lot more, considering the fact is that they haven't worked out away as well. And we did beat Essendon twice last year, and we only drew against them once. So a win here certainly puts us into top 4 contention, and definitely puts us top 4 on the ladder as well. Now, hear me out on this. This is where it becomes interesting. So, we know that Essendon are a pressure team. We know they like to run and carry. One way for me I would do is I would try and stop the Essendon, try and slow them down, make them play slow, pressure them high, make them into turnovers galore. We know that they don't like playing that high, that pressure game where we can get our pressure rate to 200. They want to try and create that pressure, but we need to keep that pressure on them. We need to slow them down, and we need to make it into a dogfight and make everything a contested possession team as well. Now, one thing that we do know, and we look at the stats, and this is the only way that teams are going to know this. Now, we're normally averaging less disposals, as we know. We're averaging 346, they're averaging 376. But they do like to kick the footy more, and do like to try and handle the game more. And they've got more inside 50s as well. The only difference for us is our efficiency is a lot better than them. They're going at 44%, we're going at 51% from our 27 shots as well. 70% disposal efficiency to 73 as well. Now, the average height is 190. In the average games is 88 for us and 82 for them, and obviously the list profile, the average age is 25 as well. We are averaging 88.5 points per game compared to them 84.2, but they do concede a lot more points, 85.1 compared to 83.7. So our win loss is 8-5, and they are 9-5 as well. And don't forget the 2 draws that we've had as well. Now, we're averaging about the same hit-outs. The clearances were just in front of that. The center clearances were in front. Stoppage clearances is even. And we're more in the contested possessions. So I would try and make this as a contested possession game. And obviously our uncontested possessions, they like to control that as well. Find the loose play. So I think we need to man them up and make them a contested game. And really put them under the back foot. And then our predicted 22 is 48-18, and then the best 22 is 45-76, while Essendon's predicted 22 is 47-30, and their best 22 is 4,664 games as well. So there is a lot to like in that. One thing that we do really well, and I know we're down in disposals, but I would try and ramp up the pressure and the tackling as well. Our tackling as well, we're averaging 67 tackles a game. That's pretty good. If we can keep that up in our tackles in our 450 and 1%ers as well, we're up on that on top of it. So if we can just continue, and I know they take more marks, and marks inside 15, contested marks, it's even on that. But if we can just keep that pressure on, making a contested style game, then get our uncontested game where we're handballing and running across the Dakota, that's going to be crucial for us to win the game. Now, one thing that we do need to do is not give teams head starts. Now, what tends to happen is when the opposition come at us from the word go, is that we need to come out really well. We need to start winning the ball out of the middle. We need to start working on our clearance games. And as well as that, we need to hit the scoreboard pretty early on and restrict the opposition as much as we possibly can. We know Essendon like to concede a lot more, and that's the one way for us that we need to target them for that, because they are going to let us score more points than anything else. Now, am I concerned of the last couple games that we did play? Look, to be honest, apart from the Queen's birthday game that we had, the King's birthday game we had, we kicked 119, while North kicked 118, and then obviously against the Suns, we kicked 90, they kicked 101 as well. So again, let's try and make it as a fast-paced game for ourselves, but let's just hold Essendon up, slow them down as much as possible, and then get on to that good start and keep that momentum going as well. And that's going to be the key for our success as well. Now, my top 5 for this week is I'm really concerned for this, and that's going to be the coming out and playing great footy. Now, we know that Essendon's going to get momentum as well during the games, during each quarters, whether it's 5-10 minute patch. We just need to withstand that, pressure them as much as we possibly can, and force them into mistakes as well. The more that we do that, the better it gets for us. Then we can take the game on by the scruff of the neck and really look forward to attack, run and gun as much as we possibly can. Keeping that forward half, because we know that Essendon want to play that forward half game, and they can play that back half game as well. We need to get our transition going across half back. Once we get through, we're able to get through on top of it. So I'm very confident in the way that we go about it. and hoping that we can play really good football as well. So that's my number one, is that we need to get off to a good start. Obviously kick 3 or 4 goals in the first quarter. Definitely will be there for the game for that Friday night clash. But having said that too, we really need to get our asses into gear and play better football and not allow Essendon to get further in front to try and come back. We need to bring the heat ourselves. We need to put that pressure on. And if we get a lead, we need to keep going. We can't afford to stop. I do not want us to get to 35, 40 points in front, Essendon come back and either we win a tight game or we lose. I would rather us to put the foot down, get that percentage going when we get to a 40-point lead, and just continue to play our brand of football. We've done it against Melbourne where we dominated. We also did it against Adelaide. So we can do it. It's just we've got to be a consistent team by doing this. And that's going to be the only way that we look at it as well. So that's probably the number one thing that I'm looking at. In the way that we do see this game as well. Obviously, against Adelaide we won by 42 points, but we were like 5 goals down as well. Number 2, I think for me, is Darcy Moore and what we do with him. Now, I think with Darcy Moore, I think we need to play him up forward. I don't think Essendon will have too many tools. I would play Darcy Moore forward and Will Hoskinelli back, because he can give us that one-on-one ability where he can mark and he can punch as well. We've seen him going back before. Like I said, if Essendon probably will have a few tall defenders as well, so we need to really tighten that up. I would definitely bring in Charlie Dean. We know Noble's out. We know Ned Long is coming in for his debut. We know that probably Lockie Schutz will come in as well. If Josh Dacos doesn't play, that's going to be interesting as well. I personally wouldn't risk Josh Dacos. If he's 50-50, I'd give him a week off and let him settle down and then play Ed Allen or Harry Dintima as well as a chance to come up. But I would like to see Charlie Dean play. Therefore he can hold up our defence. And then once you see that and you see Billy Frampton playing as that second rock, it's going to get us into that game where it's going to give us clarity. Charlie Dean, Jeremy Howe on these guys, Will Hoskinelli like on the third medium-sized forward for Essendon. And then you can allow Maynard will definitely play, Queener as well. And that way you can free up Darcy Moore, play him up forward. And if you really need to, you can put him back in defence when he's get his confidence up. Or you can play him full game, wherever it is. And that way you can put Howe up forward if you need to, or you can put Will Hoskinelli on the wing. Wherever the case is, we might have to move Will Hoskinelli onto a wing, or potentially at halfback as well. And that's what he's good at as well. You can play that halfback flank role because we've seen him do it. You can also play that wing role as well. You can also play that half forward flank and move from high half forward onto the midfield, onto the wing, and get his hands on the footy as well. So he can do that. That is an option that we might need to explore. Apart from that, I would definitely play Darcy Moore up forward. Look, he's been out of form. He's not normally marking the ball. He's getting a lot of spoils. But to me, I think it's mainly due to the pressure of losing something like a Nathan Murphy. But I think now that he needs to get his confidence going, he needs to get into this game really, really well on top of it and play that brand of football. Number 3, I think, is just purely simple. Like, our forward line, our midfield is the issue here. Look, I do feel like our midfield needs to start winning balls out of the middle, and I do think that we need to keep that pressure on as well. Once our midfield puts that pressure on, it does help out our defence a little bit more. But also our forward line really needs to step up. We need to start taking marks. we need to go back and kick goals as well, and take the opportunities when it matters as well. So I would definitely try and do that as much as we possibly can. And that might be the only way that we can do it as well. Number 4, I think for me, is our back line. Look, I suspect our back line will be under a lot of pressure. As much as I love us and I want us to win as well, I do think that our back line needs to, no doubt, play really well, but defensively, the whole team needs to play well, needs to start lifting for these moments, because we can have a 90 and 86 in the grand final against Brisbane and win by 4 points and that sort of thing. Great, but also one thing that we do need to do as well is that defensively, the midfield need to be great with their pressure, the forward line need to be great with their pressure and tackling, and even our back line need to step up as well. If it's quick ball movement, get back quickly enough. Sprint back as quick as you can, get back, get a fist in it, or take the intercept marks. And that's one way I think we need to do, is start slowing them down as well. Now, number 5 is game plan and tactics, but also playing well for 4 quarters as well, and getting off to a good start. Now, I think with the game plan, I think we should try and come out hard against Essendon, win the footy out of the middle, make it a contested style game, and then we can get our uncontested possessions as well. Slow Essendon down, put them all under the back foot, perceive pressure as well. Do not let them get momentum. If they do try and kick 1 or 2 goals in that patch of form that they've got, okay, then you need to wrestle back that momentum and try and get back into the game as well. One thing I will say is playing well for 4 quarters. If we kick 3 or 4 goals in that first quarter, I don't want us to kick 1 goal, 2 in the second quarter, or even in the third or fourth quarter. I want us to keep that momentum going, keep the scoreboard ticking, because as we know in AFL football, if you try and get ahead of yourself, if you try and go, we'll be happy 4 or 5 goals up at quarter time, teams are going to try and come back as well. They're going to try and get over the line. So we really need to start playing well for 4 quarters with that, and really getting that momentum on and making sure that we keep that going as well. And then obviously for me is to get off to a good start. Once we do that, it does go a long way for us to win the game as well. Now, my tips, I'm going to say Collingwood by 15 points. I think we'll get off to a good start. I think Essendon will try and get back into it. I'm hoping that they don't, but if they do, I think there will be a bit of patch where they might kick 2 or 3 goals. But I definitely want us to be better. If we need to, we can put Darcy Moore in defence if our backline's a bit more under a lot of heat, and we can put Will Hoskinelli or Jeremy Howe up forward as well to try and help out. So either way, it's going to be a big risk, but we'll see how that goes as well. So Collingwood by 15 points. I'm confident on that. And pretty much feel great about this game of football as well. Hope you guys liked the video. Don't forget to drop a like as well as dropping a sub. Bye for now.